Shelly from Shelly Sells Lemonade. I'm going to show you how to stitch on top of another element, which is really simple, but just in case you need to know, I'm going to show you. This is the more simple version of the pattern. So instead of thread painting, this is satin stitch, and instead of a pom-pom, that's a wagon wheel rose. So if I want the stem to come from here, I can't draw on it, and really you don't need to, you just need to freehand it. So I'm going to start down at this end, and I'm going to end up at this end. And it's just 3 strands of floss in the color that I wanted, and I'm just going to do a back stitch. I can't think of anything to say other than you just kind of eyeball it, and when you go to come up, you want to make sure that you don't pull at the stitches that are already there. And I'm realizing that this is not in the hoop tight enough, so I'm going to tighten this a little bit, because it wouldn't be a how-to video without a blooper from me. So make sure your fabric is tight in the hoop. And again, another blooper. So that doesn't look like a straight line to me. That does not look, it looks disjointed. So I'm going to pick it out and do it again. You want to go right straight down into the stitch that you just created so that it looks like one single stem rather than a bunch of stitches strung together. So I'm going to do a better job of going back down and splitting that stitch. And there we go, that's a little bit better. And I'm just going to make my way towards that pink wagon wheel rose, making sure that I split the stitch each time I go down. Sometimes people ask, how do you split an odd number of strands of floss? And I don't think you need to overthink it. I don't think you need to be dealing with an even number of strands. I think you just need to go back down into your floss. So as you can see, the satin stitch that is the green satin stitch that's making up the leaf would be a little bit easier to split up and to sort of mess up than the thread painted leaf. I'll give you the other example. Here's the thread painted leaf, because that's just a lot of texture, whereas this is a very clean, simple look. So it's kind of easier to stitch over top of a thread painted leaf because it's a little bit chaotic anyway. This is where you just have to be a little bit careful. I want to come close to that rose without picking away at it. But in case I were to mess up somewhere, I would probably make that where my leaf is. So let's just go ahead and give this, I don't think I messed anything up really. So I'm just going to go ahead and put a couple of little leaves, one right here. Now I'll do one right here and one right here. And to make a leaf shape, it seems pretty self-explanatory. That one might be a little long. Yeah, oh, that's good. See, look at that. I really kind of botched that up. So I don't like that. That's pulling the stitches underneath it. And I think it's too far, it's too long. So it's good that we're doing this. So again, to look for being careful that you don't split that satin stitch. Turns out it's a little bit trickier on plain satin stitch than it is on thread painting. Okay, so let's try that again. Maybe I'll do the leaf down here where it looks like there's a funny bend in the stem. And I think I'm going to make sure I come up and split this satin stitch too. That way it won't separate those. And I'm going to go down into the actual stem rather than the green part of the leaf. Yeah, I think placement is just the key here. You just want to make sure that wherever you're stitching, you're not. There we go. So now I'm thinking that this wagon wheel rose looks a little plain. So I might add on a little bit more to it. But that's how you stitch on top of something, you just go for it. And you just keep in mind you can always unpick.